In this video, we will be looking at the Feynman Technique for learning anything fast. This era of human civilization has often been proclaimed to be the best time to be alive. Social reforms are well in place, technology and industry is booming. Even with regards to the environment, more effort is being put into conserving it. But most of all, there is so much new information, and there are so many ways to access it. We are able to store tons of data on a scale that was unimaginable a few decades ago. But what about learning this information? While technology has progressed monumentally, our own learning capacity has not been that elastic. And the thing is, in today's world, we need to learn more things just to keep up, more things than ever. Oftentimes, we encounter examples of people who are able to do that. The Einsteins, Newtons, Freuds, and Zuckerbergs of the world. But how are they able to learn so many things so quickly? Well, in this video, we will show you how to be superhumans too. One of the most celebrated superhumans in the 20th century was Richard Feynman. Richard Feynman was a Nobel laureate in physics. What makes him relevant to our video, though, was his ability to simplify complex concepts for others. He discovered that jargon, ambiguous language, and intricacy indicate a lack of comprehension. One of the key factors in Feynman's success was his awareness of the distinction between comprehending something and knowing its name. He was never satisfied with simply knowing what something's name was. He wanted to know more about it. He devised and documented his way of learning in the much-renowned Feynman Technique. The Feynman Technique is considered to be one of the most effective approaches to accelerate your learning. And it works regardless of the subject. It is divided into 4 steps. Let's take a look at what they are. Step 1. Pick and study one topic. Initial study is absolutely important. You cannot begin to understand a concept without doing your research on it. Usually, when we want to start learning about something, it is better to engage in simpler descriptions. Or if they aren't simpler, they are at least understandable. For example, if you want to learn about research methodology, start with understanding the scientific method. This would make sure that you cover the basic points of what you want to study. But, regardless of where you start from, make sure you study enough about the topic you are interested in, at least up to the point where you can identify some of the basic principles. Your mode of study doesn't have to be something you find boring. You could study about something while watching an academic video about it too. Or you could study through conversations. So, make sure that when you study, you are not bored by it. But in any case, make sure you gather enough knowledge, regardless of the topic or mode being boring. Don't be too afraid of missing some important things here and there though. The technique we are studying allows for a few missteps along the way. Step 2. Explain what you learned to a 12-year-old. The point of explaining to a 12-year-old instead of someone younger or older than that is this. 12-year-olds have basic, simple language. They also have an elementary but often practical understanding of how the world works. So they understand a few of the basic rules of the world, but not much more than that. So when you will be explaining the topic, you would have to use simple, understandable language. This will make sure that you get rid of the confusing jargon. The issue with jargon is that it conceals our lack of comprehension. When you are forced to talk out a concept from beginning to end in basic English, you will find out a few very important things. You will find out 1. Where you struggle. 2. Where it doesn't make sense. 3. When you become frustrated. And 4. Where you realize you don't comprehend as well as you believed. Only by recognizing the holes in your understanding would you be able to fill them. And this leads us to the next step. Step 3. Identify the gaps in your knowledge. When explaining to a child, you will learn about how easily you can formulate concepts with your level of knowledge. When explaining stuff in plain, basic English, you would also be able to see where your knowledge is lacking, simply by the indication that you would not be able to explain those concepts as well. Sometimes these gaps might seem a little large. Those would be apparent when you would have almost nothing to say about them. Other times they would seem relatively small. You would be able to connect dots together, but you wouldn't be dead sure about it. And that is good. It is good that those gaps would become apparent to you, because now you would know what you still need to know. Now you could go to the final step of the Feynman Technique. Step 4. Review the literature. Make sure that you have plotted out your knowledge about a concept so that you remember the gaps in it as well. That will save you a lot of time. Once you have located the holes in your understanding, step 4 would be to fill them with the right literature. You could do this by sifting through course books, reading about it in scientific articles or credible sources on the internet. Emphasis on credible. In some ways, you could even see step 4 as being connected to step 1, in that both involve studying after picking out what to study. Full circle. And so, there you have it. Remember, there are many other ways to learn stuff quickly. But why not take the advice of a world-renowned Nobel Prize winner, especially when the technique could actually be very effective? I would recommend you try these steps out. But I am also interested to know what you think about this technique. Let us know in the comment section below.